Non-sports cards are heating up. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 30 eBay sales for March, as well as some honorable mentions. And to make this list alone, a non-sports card had to sell over $1,269, which is a pretty hefty premium for a non-sports card. With that in mind, what's kind of cool with the list this week is what's kind of cool about the list this month is we have actually multiple editions of music cards, which are often left out. We also have some historical figures, and there's a big chunk of 1966 marbles in high grade. All right, let's take a look at this list. No second camera today, guys. I do apologize. I've had some issues on my computer with rendering, so I'll just screen share. Up first, we have this 1940 Superman versus the Spies 6.5, sold for $12.69. Very clean looking card in my personal opinion. Great corners on this one as well. I mean, this is the type of stuff that looks phenomenal compared to some of those like old labels that are like 4s and 5s. I just don't see this many sharp cards coming out of the set that often. And Greg Morris cards on here with the sale. Up next is Jimmy Page, $12.99 on this autograph. Personally, I think this autograph is kind of tough to see, and it looks like there's some streaking possibly on this autograph, like bad Sharpie on here. But Jimmy Page, I really haven't seen any autographed cards of him specifically. It'd be cool to see if like there's a 72 Cantanti or some of the circular disc from the early 70s that Led Zeppelin had, but I don't think any exist. And I just don't see that many Led Zeppelin autographs, and I think this is the first time Led Zeppelin has made this list. All right, out of all the items this week, I would have bought this one. A, if I saw it, and B, I'd have to sell some stuff too. But 1962 Beatles Parlophone records. So this is 1962, which I know I repeated that. Most Beatles cards, they first came out in 1964 through major manufacturers. This is a promo card before, very tough to find by itself, right? Like I would want this card by itself. But what's really cool is this handwriting on the back, because apparently that's Paul McCartney's handwriting. Best wishes, the Beatles. And this was authenticated by someone called Frank Chiazzo. I'm sorry if I did mispronounce it. I looked up his name a little bit before this video, and what I saw, it was in one news story where he was saying an autograph was forged that auction house was trying to say. Now, again, this is just like 5 minutes of research, so I found that kind of interesting on here. And this was all the way back in 2011 for authentication standpoint, and this is 2024 when he thinks that this is a real autograph. So I think this is really sweet. I'm curious what other stuff this guy sold over here music wise, and I'll check it out probably after, because I think that's pretty interesting. Another thing to mention too is a lot of these pre-cards that everybody like record companies, there's no documentation out there currently of like what exists. That's something I want to eventually work on as like a side project. I have a lot of projects coming on, but you'll know a little bit later in the year why I want to do that. But either way, not much documentation, but I still think this type of stuff is really cool. And these are the type of pieces that I want to have in my personal collection later down the road. And up next, we have a 1977 Star Wars PSA 10. I mean, it's a 10, but like nothing too special. We see 77 Star Wars here all the time on the channel. Probably goes into a set builder's registry, and $1,400 is $1,800. Best offer, that was a set. 1992 Marvel Masterpieces over here, a Battle Spectra. No idea about this card. No desire really to learn about it either, because I have zero interest in like Marvel or anything like that. I do apologize if you do like the type of stuff. It just doesn't interest me, especially like the card collecting side of things. And maybe this is a short print or something like that, or just very tough to gem for that very high sale. Now, this is the stuff I like. We have a 3.5 Lincoln. I actually know someone that just got a Lincoln Raw graded back as a 3.5, and he did not pay anywhere close to this. So this sold at $1,450. And I always equate these to kind of like the Goodwin Champs of non-sports. Beautiful cards. They're somewhat scarce, but they're also available out there. We have a Donald Trump Rotten to the Core, $14.99. Very polarizing figure, whether you do like him or you hate him. His cards, or at least this one in particular, sell extremely well whenever And like this is a card that I see often on this list, maybe every other month. If it's in a high grade, whether it's like a 9 or a 10, it hits that cutoff. I think it's usually 10. 9s don't make it anymore. But either way, it'll be interesting to see like how a card like this does long term. Like if he loses his presidential bid, is it gonna still command this price point? I don't think so. But if he does get elected another term, will it hold it? I mean, I think a lot of the price right now is built into the political hype, just because of the elections and how often he's being on the news. But not to be political, that's just my thoughts on this. We're going to see a lot of 1966 Marvel. So I'm just going to fly through these. This one sold for $15.95. That is Daredevil. Next three sold for $16.95 each. We have Hulk, Let's Go Swimming Buddy, and a PSA 10. Then we have a Spider-Man, These Kids, and Those Build It Yourself at $16.95 as well. Another $16.95, Meant to Hang Up the Phone, Spider-Man. And we also have another one coming up shortly, but this is going to definitely go into some set builder. A lot of 10s and 9s in here, so someone's registry is really high. Look and see Barnum. I think this is the first time Barnum has made this list. Very high grade on this one. I don't know if it's a short print or not. Most people know Barnum for his circuses, but a very clean copy of a famous set that Topps produced on the non-sports side of things. Then we have another 1966 Thor 17.95, Cleveland Kids 35. Sold so many of these 66. We have two Supermans back to back for about $1,900. This sold $18.99. Card number 1, creased everywhere, but just shows you a testament of how popular this card is. I mean, there's paper loss, not paper loss, but paper going on the top, and on the back there is a pen mark. I mean, this is a horrible looking one if it was graded, but it's such a popular card that someone will buy it right away in that shape. And then also we have this Torpedo 1.5, card number 72. Very great looking card for a 1.5, at least in my own personal opinion. Another Marvel card, Juggernaut Toy Biz promos. Not too familiar with the Toy Biz promos on those. It says look for Marvel Universe Series 2 trading cards available June. So maybe these were before those. Oh, I guess this would have to be after Series 1. Again, I'm not too familiar. I know the Marvel stuff was really expensive for a while and then decreased, these 1991s. But this looks like not a card that was issued in packs. All right, over the $2,000 threshold now, Mark Hamill. This is a different Luke that you don't see it signed that often on these lists. The $2,200 on that one. And it actually looks like a not too bad of a card. I mean, there's some whitening on the corners. You should have gone that dual grade. $2,500, Paul, All the Best, Cheers, signed by Paul McCartney. I don't know. In my opinion, I'd much rather have that 1962 card than this. This was 1995 and just a postcard. I would rather have the 62 even without the Paul McCartney autograph. I regret not buying this one. And I talked about the 62 Beatles. This would be my second card on this list that I would want to buy just because I collect a lot of music. But 68 Doors, I actually put an offer. Look at that. Turn down your offer and the listing closed. I should have bought this. So when I saw it, PSA 10, the Doors, we all make mistakes. And probably should have sold off some cards to buy that. All right, another one. Card number 1, PSA 8.5, $2,500 for this Captain America. 2561, Daniel Defoe by Propstein. Again, a lot of high grade look and sees. I'm actually not too familiar with them, but reading the back over here, everyone liked them so much that instead of laughing and throwing mud at him, they showered him with flowers. Let's read this again. Sorry, I skipped over here. He was sentenced to stand 3 days in a pillory, a wooden stand through which his head and hands would fit in. I'm sure you guys know what that is, but everyone liked him so much they gave him food and flowers, and so he was put in prison for 2 years because of a book that he wrote, which is crazy. But 2561. $29.95. This is one of the first Spider-Man cards out there. Next time I'll fly the kite in a PSA 9. Mars Attack. Funny enough, the other two most popular cards, card number 1 and then Prize Captive, they don't make the list this week. But $33.62 for this PSA 8 on card number 2. And it looks pretty clean overall. $34.33 sold by ComC, PSA 8. The Goudy Ruth of non-sports over here. Easy card to find, but immensely popular. $36.99 Blasted Billy Glossy 8B. Obi-Wan Kenobi sold for slightly under $5,000 in a PSA 10 Pop 16. Very clean looking card. Another garbage pail, $6,354 essentially. You round up those 3 cents. Atom Bomb, 8A. The checklist back, nothing checked off. $6,550, Marvel Universe Cosmic Spider-Man Hologram. Again, I assume this is like a pretty rare card, but I have no idea because this is outside of my education on non-sports. Coming in the number 2 spot, Luke Skywalker, 9.5. If you sent this in, would you be upset or would you be super happy getting the 9.5 grade? Because I get it. Like if you got a 10, the price difference between a 9.5 and a 10 is probably immense on something like this. But also, like if you get 9.5, you gotta be really happy, right? Because you're not predicting 9.5 when you sent it in. But Star Wars all over this list. And lastly, this is a crazy sale. I think this is the highest sale we've had for non-sports on record. $14,544. Nasty Nick, 1A, Gem Mint, 10. Honorable mentions. I actually do have this card. Mine is a skinned back, so it's not as nice as this one. I think this actually presents pretty well, even with this like paper edition on here. But N53 Views Statue of Liberty. I think a few years ago did about $2,400. So this is a very expensive card. And I didn't even know about it until someone purchased this card. Well, I shouldn't say that. He told me that this was on eBay right before he purchased it. But still, it didn't trigger any of my safe searches. And very, very tough card. I think it's going to be one of the most iconic cards long-term on the non-sports side of things. Probably top 25 when more people do know about it. But Bartholdi's Statue of Liberty, really awesome one right there. More garbage pail, $13,100 for Series 1 open wax with price and poster as well. And guard shell's been on fire. I just want to show this group of 10 PSA 9s, $4,800, so $480 a card. Someone definitely broke up a set. I would have been curious if that whole set went to auction, what it would have ended up doing. Another McCartney autograph this week. I'm not sure what it is. There's a lot out there. This was a postcard, 1982, but sold for $1,265. Probably the third card I would have wanted to purchased. I have a few low grade copies of this, but $11.91 on this Hendrix 9. This sold before I even saw it, so no chances on this, but I probably would have sold the other stuff just to upgrade into it. $1,000, Alexander Hamilton. I can't remember what grade my copy is, whether it's a 2 or 3 or 4. It's somewhere around there. Off-centered on this one, but still a very high sale for this card because this was not going for $1,000 a year ago or even 2 years ago. It does look like there's some staining on this card. You can see like the white border over there that's added. And the last card I wanted to showcase today is this Atom Bomb UK Mini. I actually saw this overseas for the first time when I went over to UK last year. And I had no idea there was a difference in size because I don't really collect garbage pail kids. And these are all an album. And I was trying to look these up. I was kind of curious on them. But yeah, I saw those for the first time and it was a pretty cool experience. So I had to show it. This sold for $800, $2,000 price off. A lot of price difference between the two, but they just aren't collected as much. A year later, smaller cards, a lot of different factors. Hope you guys enjoyed this non-sports top 30. I'm doing a top 30 list every single week right now on the channel. I'm going to expand this out. We're going to get to 8 videos a month soon here, and the goal is eventually to do even more. So, and if you want to check out some of the other non-sports videos, I have a full playlist on the channel, so you can look at some of the other past months of sales.